Today, we'll dive deeply into one of the most impactful developments in American criminal justice, the establishment of the Miranda Rights. This detailed narrative will explore its origins, the landmark Supreme Court case Miranda v. Arizona, 1966, and the evolution of related laws and judicial interpretations that followed. Historical context and background. The roots of Miranda rights trace back to the constitutional guarantees of the Fifth Amendment, which protects citizens against self-incrimination, and the Sixth Amendment, which ensures the right to counsel. Historically, suspects often faced coercive interrogation tactics that compelled involuntary confessions, violating these constitutional protections. Before 1966, the Supreme Court had attempted to curb coercive police interrogations in cases like Brown v. Mississippi, 1936, where physical torture was explicitly banned. However, the boundaries of psychological coercion remained ambiguous. 2. Miranda v. Arizona, 1966, a landmark decision. The story begins with Ernesto Miranda, arrested in 1963 by Phoenix police for kidnapping and rape. After 2 hours of interrogation without being informed of his right to counsel or his right against self-incrimination, Miranda confessed. At trial, his confession was pivotal, leading to his conviction. His attorney argued this confession was involuntary, as Miranda was unaware of his rights. In 1966, the Supreme Court agreed, ruling 5-4 in Miranda v. Arizona that suspects must be informed explicitly of their rights before police interrogation. Chief Justice Earl Warren delivered the opinion, setting clear guidelines known as the Miranda warnings: the right to remain silent. Anything said can be used against the individual in court. The right to have an attorney present during questioning. If unable to afford an attorney, one will be provided at no cost. This ruling fundamentally reshaped law enforcement procedures, mandating that these warnings must precede custodial interrogation. Third, initial reactions and legal responses. The Miranda decision was initially controversial. Law enforcement agencies feared it would hinder investigations. However, it quickly became standard practice, incorporated into police protocols nationwide. Congress responded by attempting legislative overrides, notably through Title II of the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act of 1968, which allowed confessions to be admissible if voluntarily given, even without Miranda warnings. This created conflict until clarified by later Supreme Court decisions. Fourth, subsequent key judicial interpretations. The Supreme Court refined and expanded Miranda through various rulings. Harris v. New York, 1971. Statements made without Miranda warnings can still impeach a defendant's credibility if they testify inconsistently. Oregon v. Elstad, 1985. A second properly Mirandized confession following an initial unwarned confession is admissible if voluntarily given. Illinois v. Perkins, 1990. Undercover police posing as inmates do not need to provide Miranda warnings when eliciting incriminating statements. V. The Dickerson Reaffirmation, 2000. In Dickerson v. United States, 2000, the Supreme Court solidified Miranda's constitutional foundation, invalidating Congress's earlier attempt through the Omnibus Crime Control Act. The ruling confirmed Miranda warnings as constitutionally required, not merely judicially preferred guidelines. 6. Clarifications and limits on Miranda. Further decisions clarified Miranda's limits and applicability. Berghuis v. Tompkins, 2010. Suspects must explicitly invoke their Miranda rights to stop questioning. Silence alone does not suffice. Maryland v. Schatzer, 2010. Police can reinitiate questioning after a suspect invokes Miranda rights if there's a sufficient break, 14 days. 7. Impact and influence on law enforcement. Miranda transformed criminal procedure, compelling police to adopt new interrogation strategies, including training in legally permissible questioning methods. It also raised public awareness of constitutional rights. 8. Ongoing debates and challenges. Miranda rights continue to spark debates concerning their scope, effectiveness, and impact on crime-solving capabilities. Critics argue that Miranda hampers investigations. Supporters emphasize its crucial protection of civil liberties. Recent judicial debates examine whether modern interrogation techniques necessitate revising Miranda standards or maintaining rigid adherence to the original decision. 9. Conclusion. Miranda's enduring legacy. Miranda v. Arizona and subsequent legal developments profoundly impacted American criminal justice, protecting individual rights while continuously influencing law enforcement and judicial practices. Its legacy as a cornerstone of constitutional rights remains central to ongoing discussions about balancing civil liberties and public safety.